morning or afternoon, evening, depending on where you are watching this from. And happy Women's Day to all the women out there. Um, Also, thank you to GSD for facilitating this engagement on this special day where we're discussing the issues that women are doing in technology. So to just discuss what we have here, my name is Daniel Chibesakunda. Um, People define me as a technology architect. I'm also a certified critical infrastructure security specialist. I do hold a number of certification in technology, infrastructure, and other areas. But the discussion today will focus on four key areas, which we just want to see how women are contributing, and also to look at the importance of governance and security in the industry. Whether it's a men's dominant field or women's dominant field is a discussion that we'll be having today. Many of the times, women feel information technology is about the males, but in the actual sense, this is an area where we see that anyone can strive. So four key areas that will guide our discussion. We'll look at governance. We'll look at a term that we normally call hack value, which we'll discuss further to look at how this determines the importance of cybersecurity. What is it that is causing cybersecurity to be a topic of discussion? We'll look at critical infrastructure. At the end of the day, should we stop investing in technology? We'll look at why we need to build that resilience. So before we go into those focus areas, I just wanted us to look at the technological landscape for women in technology. So I'd like to center this to our environment back in Zambia. The other aspect of what I normally do is that I'm currently sitting in as a chairperson for technical affairs for the Information Technology and Communication Association of Zambia, which is normally abbreviated as ICTAZ. So this position has given me the privilege to interact with various players in the industry. And mostly, if I look at the local players that we have, there are strides that have been made to encourage women to participate in technology. The case example that I can pick of is an entity or a company called Digital Self. They do conduct engagements called Capture the Flag. And you'll be interested to know that the winner of the last competition they were doing, which involved both male and females, a female was the one who came out number one. Also, they do other things like enrolling various students or kids who are interested in cybersecurity. And a few graduation that I attended with them, you'll be surprised to note that the majority of those are women. A case of other entity or company that I can look at is Fortress Hub Technologies. You'll be glad to know that they produced the first female PCI DSS certified candidate. So there are also other companies that are making strides. You can talk of startups, which looks at hiring engineers who are female and maturing them into fully fledged engineers. You have Micronics, you have Complete Enterprise, and other companies that I can't manage to mention here. So their objective is looking at how best can they bring in women or ladies or young girls who are interested in technology and groom them to become better engineers out there. So the focus normally is mainly on leadership roles, but these private entities are looking at building from the ground and bringing them out. So this is part of the agenda that is being pushed both from the association and also part of what government is doing. So A decade ago, you'll be talking of women participating in these activities to be 5%, but now these numbers are looking in there above 30%, 40%. So you can see that there's that improvement that is being made. A case also is an example of what the ISC2 consortium produces, where they have a prestigious certification called CISP. And this is something that we're proud as an association to mention, that we now have 2 female CISP in Zambia that have joined that particular club or association to be called Certified Information System Security Professionals. So coming back to what we are discussing today, why is governance important, and is it something that females can go in? So the answer that I can give you today is that this is a field that does not require you to be lifting heavy things or pulling cables or anything, but it requires heavily on you using your knowledge, your mind, and just the commitment of wanting to put controls in place. So governance is the foundation of what needs to be done in an organization. And if you are in this field, you'll be able to help institutions to know what they need to do. Boards want to know what they need to do. Management wants to know what they need to do. So governance comes in to bridge up that gap and be able to define what needs to happen. So what I just wanted to share with you is there are various frameworks that you can use out there, but the most popular framework that is used by a good number of organizations is COBIT. COBIT has matured from 5, and now we are talking of COBIT 2019. So it has these objectives that guide on what each particular group of people needs to do. So for instance, we find that the board will be guided on what they need to do. They will be able to ensure that the risk is looked into. They will be able to ensure that the benefits are looked into. But how do they do this? Because the board is normally busy, so they normally delegate this to a committee that can set up. And this committee will be looking at the affairs to ensure that, for instance, risk is looked into. I normally take governance as something which is a pillar in achieving what an organization needs to achieve, because everything that needs to be done is normally incorporated into these objectives. So you can pick, for instance, an objective which tells you to say, manage security. This particular objective, COBIT will highlight what needs, or show you the guidelines of what can be done for you to be able to implement what needs to be implemented. But it's up to you to choose which framework works better. COBIT will just tell you to say you need to have this in place. So that's a governance that you need to put in place. So you can see just from this discussion we are having that governance is not something that if you're female, you need to start thinking this is a male-dominated field. And you can see its importance that without governance, you will not be able to know what you need to put in place. You'll be able to invest in technology, you'll be able to invest in security, but you find that that investment will not be guided. So governance comes in to say, okay, look, for you to invest, you need to look at what you have in place, the projects that you've been running. Have you driven value out of those projects? So when you do your analysis, you find that there are certain projects that you need to say, okay, this project doesn't need to continue. We need to go in this direction. Governance comes in to tell you to say you need to manage your security. And the process of managing security to tell you that you need to have an information management system. So having that information management system, you find that you'll be able to be guided on which framework you can use. Others will use ISO 27001 to manage their security. There's also NIST, which can be used, and other frameworks which could be there. So the governance part of it will tell you that you need to have an information system management in place, but it's up to you to choose which framework to use. in order for you to manage the security that you need to manage. So from here, you can see that governance is important, and governance is a huge role which requires one's commitment and one's passion to do it, so that an institution is guided on certain controls that they need to follow. So there are other objectives that you can look at. You can look at the COVID framework and just look at these controls which I'm showing you on this screen. So these controls will help institutions to manage quality, service management, and just the security, which we just alluded to. So the security part has been itemized because the next item that we'll be looking at is to see how you can manage your security. First of all, why do you need even to worry about security? So before we can even dive into that, what has really led to people worrying about cybersecurity? Companies are automating services, or they're automating what they need, what they perform. So this automation has led to what you're terming as digital transformation. And this digital transformation has been also affected by emerging technologies. You're talking of AI, Internet of Things. So this is a good initiative, and it's good for the market. It's good for business, because now businesses do not need to have physical structures. Businesses do not need to be interacting with customers. We are now talking of a generation that is used to technology. The generation just wants to use their mobile devices to apply for a loan, to get in touch with a customer, and to do other things. So this has put a strain on the need for this technology to be protected, because cyber criminals do not need to be next to you to really harm you. So this digital transformation has grown the landscape, and this landscape has resulted into emerging threats like ransomware. There's a reputation issue that you need to protect. And if you read reports from Gartner, they will tell you that there is massive digital transformation that is going on. And the future is that companies that will not transform digitally will not survive, because this is what people are looking at now. So if you want to be safe, normally you can say that don't connect to the internet, back up your computer and put it somewhere where it cannot be accessed. But if this is the thinking that you have in mind, then you are headed for a disaster, because people have moved on to technology. So if people have moved on to technology, what you need to understand is that once you connect to the internet, then you are not immune to be hacked. It's just a matter of when. So there's need for cybersecurity to be taken into account, so that you are protected from these attacks that cyber criminals are initiating. So if you look at the focus area we looked at, we had mentioned what we are terming as hack value. What is it that is motivating cyber criminals to attack you? Cyber criminals are not attacking anyhow. They are attacking where there is value. So this is a term that normally explains how interesting you are to an attacker. So if you're an institution, you're an individual, and you have an interest to cyber criminals, you become of value to them, because they know that if you are attacked, then it will be easy for them to get a ransom from you or compromise you in order for them to get to the data normally which they look for. So it is something that forces cyber criminals to get that motivation to attack an entity, an institution, or an individual. So if you try to ask yourself to say, how do you know your hack value? There are normally 3 steps that you can go through. One is unknown and unknowns, where you try to understand what you are vulnerable to. So here you zero yourself and say, okay, my organization, what harm can be caused to this? What are we vulnerable to? If you know what you are vulnerable to, then you move to the next step, where you know what you are vulnerable, then you start looking at mitigations, the tools that you need to put in place. And now you are at a stage where you know your vulnerabilities. and now you can apply the controls that you've said you want to apply. So this, if you follow it through, it will allow you to be able to know your hack value and also give you an advantage of knowing how you can prevent your data loss. You can identify indicator of compromise. You can also provide actionable strategies which you can put in place to protect your environment. So from here, we can tell that cybersecurity is very important to an organization. It's something that is needed to be done. It just requires one's commitment to follow through to ensure that the right things are done, but also the commitment from the board. So you say that from the governance aspect, you can push things to the board to tell them to say, you need to ensure that the risk is done. This is your role. So if the board needs to know that, then they'll be able to drill down and say, what is it that we need to do? So you need to invest in technology that can protect the institution. So marrying cybersecurity and governance gives you a strong protection when it comes to protecting the environment. And normally this trickles down to say how critical is your organization to be it the community, the nation, or the world at large. So this is now what we're discussing as critical infrastructure. So when this started, there were only 4 entities which were classified as critical infrastructure, which was the energy sector, communication sector, transport and water sector. But now we are seeing discussions of other sectors that are coming up as being critical infrastructure. One of them is the finance sector. If certain entities are compromised, you find that there will be no funds that will be moving in the particular economy. So other sectors are still coming in, but at the end of the day, you need to determine what is critical to yourself. So this could be even at an individual level. If you are of high value, you need to ensure that you put cybersecurity measures in place. So the other focus area that we looked at was cyber resilience. So you invested in technology, you are happy, customers can get to you from any entity of the world, but you need to ensure that your services keep running even if you are under a cyber attack. So most entities are moving away from cybersecurity, which if you look at their SACA definition, it's the protection of assets. So here, just talking of protection. But your goal now should be to provide the cyber resilience where you will have the ability to anticipate, withstand, and recover from adverse conditions, but still be able to provide the service. If you are in a business, you need to provide the service to your customers. They do not care much about the issues you're having because once you have those issues and you fail to protect or provide the service to the customers will move on and go to your competitor. So you need to build this resilience to ensure that even if you're under a cyber attack, you should still be able to provide the service which you need to provide to your customers. So just to end this discussion, I would just like to emphasize that when you look at governance, cybersecurity, which we are focusing on now, these are not fields that are tailored to males only. And the discussion which we're having today, I hope it has proved to you that governance and cybersecurity is not only about males. Females can come in and strive in this area. They can do a lot. In my engagement, as I said, under ICTAS, we've seen a number of females that have strived in this area. Just last year, we had an award giving ceremony, and we had a lady by the name of Matambila who got an award in the section of cybersecurity. And this is a section that she was competing against males, and she came out first. So you can tell that the landscape is slowly changing. We're having more females that are coming in this area, and they're striving and doing a lot of great things. So to end our discussion today, I would just like to say that there is a phrase which we normally say that if something is not broken, don't fix it. But just an advice to everyone out there, this is not the same when it comes to cybersecurity. So if something is not broken, improve on it to make it better. In the sense that attacks keep changing. What you use today might not work tomorrow. So you can't say it's working, so I can't fix it. It will not help you. So if something is working today, look at it and see how best you can utilize it and make it work better to protect you against cyber criminals. Cyber criminals are now using AI the same way that we're using it. So they are not sitting down behind the keyboard and typing scripts to attack you. They're using AI as well. So we need to keep on improving. We need to keep on researching. And as I said, there are a lot of companies that are helping in this area of research, upskilling, and this is something that GSD keeps doing. There are a number of courses that are out there that you can look at and be able to upskill yourself in the area of cybersecurity. So this is where I end my discussion, and I hope it is of value to everyone out there. Thank you.